Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest. Never to their mercy or gratitude is rooted in the understanding that people are fundamentally driven by their own desires, needs, and ambitions. It highlights a critical aspect of human nature. People are more likely to respond favorably when they see how something benefits them directly, rather than when they are called upon to act out of kindness, gratitude, or moral obligation. This law teaches that if you want to persuade others to assist you, you must frame your request in terms of their self-interest, aligning your needs with their goals and desires. Doing so makes your appeal far more compelling and increases the likelihood of success. The fundamental flaw in appealing to mercy or gratitude is that these emotions are fleeting and unreliable. Gratitude, while it can be genuine, rarely lasts in a way that ensures consistent reciprocity. People quickly forget favors, and their sense of obligation fades over time. Similarly, appeals to mercy are often met with resistance because people generally don't like to feel guilt-tripped or manipulated into acting against their own interests. In contrast, when you appeal to someone's self-interest, you activate a much more durable and motivating force: their desire to achieve personal gain. This law operates on the principle that people are inherently selfish, even if they do not always appear to be. Self-interest drives most human behavior, whether consciously or subconsciously. The challenge is not to ignore this aspect of human nature, but to harness it to your advantage. When you approach someone with a request, the question they are most likely asking themselves is, "What's in it for me?" If your appeal fails to answer that question, you risk being ignored or, at best, receiving lukewarm support. However, if you can clearly demonstrate how helping you aligns with their goals, ambitions, or desires, they will be far more inclined to offer their assistance. One of the most effective ways to implement this law is to frame your request in such a way that the other person sees it as an opportunity. For example, if you need someone's help in a project, you could present it as a chance for them to gain exposure, improve their skills, or secure a key position. By showing them how assisting you will ultimately benefit them, you make the proposition much more attractive. The key is to make them feel that they are not doing you a favor, but rather seizing an opportunity that will further their own interests. This approach is particularly useful when dealing with powerful or influential individuals. People in positions of power are typically bombarded with requests for help, many of which are framed in emotional terms, appeals to their sense of duty, compassion, or past favors. But powerful people are rarely moved by such appeals. They didn't rise to their positions by acting out of charity or obligation. Instead, they are much more likely to respond to proposals that show how their own position, power, or influence will be enhanced by helping you. The more clearly you can demonstrate this, the more likely they are to respond positively. Another important aspect of this law is that it requires a deep understanding of the other person's motivations. To successfully appeal to self-interest, you need to know what drives the individual you are trying to persuade. Different people have different motivations. Some are driven by money, others by status, others by recognition, and some by a sense of accomplishment. If you can tailor your appeal to match the specific desires and needs of the person you are dealing with, you will have a much higher chance of success. This requires careful observation and sometimes even subtle probing to understand what the other person values most. For instance, if you're dealing with someone who is motivated by recognition, you can frame your request in a way that emphasizes the visibility or prestige they will gain by helping you. If they value financial gain, you might highlight how their assistance could lead to lucrative opportunities. The key is to align your request with their primary driver of action, making it clear that by helping you, they are also helping themselves. It's also important to remember that this law is not about manipulating or deceiving others into helping you. Rather, it's about recognizing the realities of human behavior and working within them. People are much more likely to respond to requests that align with their self-interest because it feels like a natural, mutually beneficial exchange. In many cases, The person helping you may even feel like they are the one benefiting more from the relationship, which is exactly the dynamic you want to create. A critical mistake that many people make is assuming that gratitude or past favors will automatically translate into future help. They expect that because they helped someone in the past, that person will feel obligated to return the favor. However, gratitude is rarely a strong enough motivator to ensure consistent support. People are much more focused on their current needs and ambitions than on past deeds. You can't rely on someone's sense of obligation to compel them to help you. Instead, you must always focus on the present and how assisting you benefits them right now. This law also applies to building long-term relationships. If you can consistently frame interactions in ways that benefit the other party, they will naturally come to see you as someone worth supporting. This builds a foundation of mutual benefit, where both parties feel like they are gaining something valuable from the relationship. Over time, this dynamic can create a strong alliance, where the other person feels invested in your success because they see it as tied to their own. It's important to note that appealing to self-interest doesn't mean you have to be overtly transactional or make the other person feel like you're only interested in what they can do for you. In fact, this should be done subtly. The best appeals to self-interest are those that feel natural and mutually beneficial, not manipulative or forced. When done correctly, the other person should feel like helping you is a smart decision that serves their own needs, rather than a favor they are begrudgingly offering. In some cases, you might need to do a bit of groundwork to create the conditions where your appeal will be more effective. For example, you could subtly build up a narrative that highlights the opportunities or benefits that will come from helping you, laying the foundation for your request before you even make it. This might involve positioning yourself as someone valuable to align with, or creating situations where the other person can see firsthand how assisting you could lead to mutual success. Finally, it's worth considering that appealing to self-interest also helps protect you from disappointment and resentment. When you rely on emotional appeals, such as expecting people to help out of gratitude or moral obligation, you set yourself up for frustration when they don't respond as you hope. By appealing to self-interest, you take control of the situation and make it much more likely that your requests will be met with enthusiasm rather than indifference or reluctance. In conclusion, Law 13, when asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude, is about understanding human nature and leveraging it to your advantage. Rather than expecting others to act out of obligation, kindness, or emotional connection, you must present your requests in a way that highlights what they stand to gain. By aligning your needs with their interests, you increase the chances of gaining support and build more solid, mutually beneficial relationships. Appeals to self-interest are far more powerful and reliable than appeals to mercy or gratitude, as they tap into the core motivators that drive human behavior, ensuring that people are far more likely to say yes when they see how helping you benefits them too.